From the Tennessee Valley Weather Channel, this is Wake Up Weather.
Good Friday morning. I'm Kelly Rawson here in the Tennessee Valley Weather Center. We have severe storms possible this afternoon into the early evening. I will explain everything that you need to know here in this weather update. I will say right off the bat, damaging winds is going to be the main threat this afternoon. I will have all the details on the threats as well as when you can expect those storms here in the Tennessee Valley viewing area. In this weather update, as we learn some new details this morning about the potential for these storms for today. I'll also have your weekend forecast and a look at when we finally will dry out and calm down here in the region. But let's go ahead and check on live Viper Doppler radar. We've been mostly calm and mostly dry for much of the overnight into this morning, but we are starting to see a little bit of a thunderstorm develop into Alcorn County in Mississippi that will continue to move northeastward. Let's go ahead and zoom on that, but nothing else going on in the viewing area. But we do have just a little shower, maybe even a thunder shower here before long, just north of Burnsville in Tishomingo County. But we are looking at that thunderstorm. Nothing concerning about it, but just some rain and thunder and lightning for this morning. Again, over in Alcorn County as it will continue to move northeastward into Tishomingo County over the next few minutes. But we are just looking at that and otherwise mostly dry to start off your Friday here in the Tennessee Valley. However, by this afternoon, that will be quite the opposite of the case. We do have a level 3 out of 5 risk for severe storms this afternoon for the Tennessee Valley viewing area. That does include all of our southern middle Tennessee counties, all of our northwest Alabama counties, as well as Tishomingo County in northeast Mississippi. Again, the main threat going to be damaging winds, even some hail with these afternoon to early evening thunderstorms. And I will play through Futurecast here in just a moment, but just want to get that right off the bat. We are expecting severe storms later on today, so be sure to stay weather aware and have a way to get any sort of watch or warning information. Of course, with us here in the Tennessee Valley Weather Center, we are a fantastic resource to keep you safe and informed. Temperatures across the region are in the 60s for the most part. Hohenwald, the cool spot this morning, into the upper 50s, otherwise lower 60s for much of us. Warmer into Decatur, the warm spot at 67 still at this 6 o'clock hour. So it's another warm start to the day, but we will start to see much more unsettled activity with storms developing to our west, and that is what we will be waiting for and where our eyes will be later on this afternoon as those storms will be pushing from west to east. But as the sun is now finally starting to rise across the Tennessee Valley, we are looking at a pretty calm scene. Again, clouds around. We will see some clouds this morning, but we should be mostly rain-free aside from maybe a few stray pop-up showers and thunder showers that develop. Otherwise, mostly dry. The main action going to be later on this afternoon. Looking into Florence and for Lauderdale County, again, clouds around, but we are relatively dry with temperatures in the 60s. You can see that there on our Arctic Air Skycam network. Over the next few hours, again, we are going to stay mostly dry. Again, I can't rule out a stray pop-up thunder shower over the next few hours. However, mostly dry, and the severe threat looks to be later on this afternoon into the early evening. You'll see here on Futurecast just what I'm talking about. By 11 a.m., still nice and calm. Still looking at storms well to our west, but then by about 1, 2, 3 o'clock in the afternoon, we will start to see those storms, that line of storms, I should say, knocking on the doorstep of our western counties, Hardin County, as well as Tishomingo County, and it is going to be a linear feature. That's why we are expecting some damaging wind potential heading into this afternoon with this line of storms. And I will say early on, we do have a hail threat as well, up to $half size. But then as we progress throughout the later into the evening, I think damaging winds are going to be the dominant threat heading into this afternoon. We'll see about 4 p.m. through the heart of our viewing area, Highway 43 in southern middle Tennessee, moving into North Alabama. Then that line will continue to push eastward, again with the potential for damaging winds even into the 6 o'clock hour. And we are kind of putting our window between 2 p.m. and 9 p.m. just to add a little bit of buffer and if you have any plans. But I think the severe threat will start to be winding down. Of course, it will clear from west to east, but by the time we get to about 6 o'clock, we should start to see those storms exiting our viewing area. And then heading into the rest of this evening, we will catch a little bit of a break, but unfortunately we don't clear out quite efficiently. We will still have some lingering showers and thunder showers overnight, continuing into your Saturday morning and afternoon, with the potential for some gusty winds, just not quite a high threat compared to today. Again, level 3 out of 5 for today, with the damaging winds the main threat, damaging winds up to 50 to 70 miles an hour. So again, a day to stay weather aware. Just because the tornado threat is pretty low does not mean you don't have to be paying attention. We could still see damage in the area due to damaging winds. Again, the tornado threat very low, just something we're not super concerned about. With any severe storm threat, we do have to stay on guard, but again, not going to be a main concern for us heading into this afternoon. Hail threat possible, especially earlier on, as those storms just start to ramp up and get going, but I think we will transition to mostly a damaging wind threat for the rest of the afternoon. So watch out for today into the afternoon and into the evening. Again, between 2 p.m. and 9 p.m. Can't rule out some localized street flooding, but again, not a main concern. Damaging winds, the main concern for this afternoon. As I said, we are going to unfortunately still see this cold front linger into your Saturday, making for a gloomy start with rain and storms around. Maybe some gusty winds here or there, just not a widespread problem like we could see today. But for your Sunday, we start to clear out some leftover clouds, maybe a leftover shower or two, but then heading into the rest of your week. For next week, we start off relatively dry. High pressure moves back in, and that means some better weather, even if it is going to be briefly. So high rain chances for today as well as for your Saturday, but then we start to dry out Sunday. Again, maybe a lingering shower or two. Monday and Tuesday looking mainly dry before thunder showers return to the forecast by the middle of next week. So again, for this morning, you'll likely not need the rain gear, but if you're going to be out for the rest of today, you're going to want to bring the rain gear with you, because it's almost a guarantee that we see those thunderstorms later on this afternoon into the evening. But for your morning drive, pretty uneventful, pretty calm. Temperatures in the 60s, eventually warming up into the upper 70s to lower 80s. This afternoon, you see that here on our hourly forecast, lower 80s expected, with those storm chances increasing around or after lunchtime, again, mainly after 2 p.m. That's when we'll start to see that widespread line of storms with the potential for damaging winds and hail. So today, stay weather aware with severe storms possible this afternoon and evening, again between 2 p.m. and 9 p.m. clearing from west to east later on in the evening. Showers and storms still around for Saturday, maybe some gusty winds with those, but temperatures will be much cooler this weekend. Lower 70s for your Saturday. We'll struggle to make it to 70 by Sunday with lingering showers and cloud cover, but the sun will return thanks to high pressure by Monday. Temperatures in the lower 70s, warming back up into the mid 70s by the middle of next week, with scattered thunder showers returning by Wednesday. That's to check out your local weather forecast. I'll be back at 8 a.m. with another weather update. Taylor Plott will be live at noon with another weather update on the afternoon thunderstorm chance.
You're watching the Tennessee Valley Weather Channel.